the big thing is you have to remember that you can shop around to find what the best deal is.
Right.
And you, as a consumer and as a borrower, if you're buying a house, you should find the best deal and also find somebody who's also does a good job.
Right.
So, that could save you on closing costs. And that's something that you guys should be aware of is how important it is to take advantage of the rights you have as a consumer to be able to shop around for those closing costs.
Just like you would shop around online for finding something that's on sale.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's so important. I think one of the things on here says your strategy for relief. What would that be? Like seller concessions?
Seller concessions is a good bit of it. Shopping around attorneys, different various insurance. I know you can shop around for. And certain lenders, if you're trying to find different lenders, have different origination fees and they have different various costs that they include in their closing costs. You can shop around at the different lenders. I know you work with how many?
We have about 20 lenders that we work with.
Right. And I'm sure those 20 lenders have very different closing costs.
Yeah. So, I could pull up, John Smith, who's buying a $300,000 house. Let's say he has a 700 credit score. I have a list of 20 lenders that I can go to and say, okay, this lender has the best rate and it doesn't charge them that much. It actually, let's say these are some other terms that we're going to talk about later. The par rate, which means you're not paying for, paying a rebate, which would mean you're paying to get the rate lower and you're not receiving anything back. Basically you're paying $0 to get this rate. Let's say the rate is 6.25 at one place and you don't pay anything. And then if I want to get 6.25 at another lender, it costs me $500.
Right.
Okay. What do I have the ability to do that banks don't?
Go with the lender that doesn't charge you that $500.
Yeah. So that's the key is as a broker, we can actually give you the best rate and we can get it to you the cheapest
and cut down on those closing costs that can just add to your what you have to pay at close.
Yeah. And another thing too that I didn't say, Walker, is I don't know if you're aware, you can with getting a rate, you could get a higher rate and then actually get a discount, right? That can go towards your closing costs. So same example, I have John Smith. Okay. So John Smith, he doesn't have much money for closing costs. You negotiate a great seller concession for 3% of the purchase price,
right?
But he's short $2,000, right? But he could still qualify for the loan at 7%. Then a suggestion and the ethical thing to do would be, hey, John, at 7%, you're going to get $3,000 in a discount to take this rate, and that can go towards your closing costs, and you don't have to pay anything. That's an option that can be utilized for people who don't have a lot for down payment.
Right.
So that's something that
there's a lot of financial workarounds that you can use and programs that you can use to just par down your closing costs, decrease the amount of money, and get you into the position where you can start building equity on a home.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so many intricate details that I could go on 37 tangents as I already have, but these things are important, guys.
I know we've talked a little bit about that pre-approval power play as it's coined,
As you've coined.
I've coined it.
Yes.
That pre-approval, it's that green light, to start actually seriously looking at a house, and without it, playing that guessing game that will end up leaving you disappointed or wanting more really in your house because you went and looked at houses that were way outside your budget and now you've got a taste for the good stuff.
Yeah.
It's hard to come back down to what's realistic.
Yeah. I think just the reality is Zillow's great. It's great to look at things, but
it's great window shopping.
It's great window shopping, but it also gives a lot of people a false impression of what they can afford. When let's say I go on Zillow right now, if I go on there and I don't have an account, it's going to show me, the payment is X amount. And, let's say the payment is $1,500 a month.
Right.
Okay. Based off of what? If I have a perfect credit score and I put 20% down. Okay.
That's not a lot of
helpful.
people.
It's not helpful. It's a lot. I mean, it's giving people not false hope, but it's giving them a
Setting
false,
an incorrect impression of what is realistic.
It's not making it realistic for somebody who's in their 20s or 30s making $70,000, $80,000 a year, and they're looking at, $550,000 houses, and really they can qualify for 325. Don't quote me on that. I'm just saying, like, they can't qualify for that. That's just, it's not fair to them. That's why pre-approval is such a powerful thing. Is you can be sure,
you can really know your budget
of, okay, Mr. Realtor,
right?
This is what I've been pre-approved for. What can we find in this price range that I like?
Right.
So that's so important. And you talked about it earlier. It helps you become a serious buyer. Like you said, it's so important if you're going to put an offer in to be able to have the pre-approval and say, okay, seller, this is what I have. This is what I'm pre-approved for. And this is what you're asking. And I'm willing to pay it.
Right.
Or I'm willing to pay it minus whatever
that negotiation is.
Yeah, and it's helpful for me as a loan officer to be able to get you to closing more quickly. If you get me all the documents that I need, unlike some borrowers that we're working with, no names. So that is so helpful for me up front. If we can get you pre-approved and you help me by providing documents, that gives us a leg up to be ready to close and be maybe even ready 10 days, 2 weeks ahead of time.
Right.
So,
and then you can move the closing up, or you can just wait. I mean, you have breathing room essentially. Yeah. That pre-approval really gives you the grounds to, spot those credit issues early, get to that faster closing, having all that paperwork up front.
Yep.
And it really, the pre-approval gives me the green light to actually go and show you houses.
Because exactly.
Otherwise it's
a guessing game.
It's a guessing game. There's really no other way to put it.
Yeah. So you hit on there a second ago about spotting credit issues early. So the reason why that's helpful is if I have a borrower, Mrs. Smith, she's looking to buy a house and she wants to get pre-approved, and I pull her credit and it comes back at, let's say, a 575. Okay. She has a 575. She doesn't qualify for an FHA loan unless she puts 10% down.
Right.
Right.